Hi guys, I've just chosen to just film a really quick video. Hopefully it's really quick, rather than typing out a novel of what to eat and when for race day. So especially if you're not really well versed with preparation for racing, for rowing. So if you're newer, this is sort of aimed at you. So please, if you're seeing this and thinking, what is he doing, giving us a science lesson, it's not for that purpose at all. But just really quickly there's not really bad foods per se. Like, yes, of course, there are bad foods when it comes to, real junk, but it's more about the timing of food. So 3 categories of what's in our foods being carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates are our quickest source of energy and it's our preferred source that our body likes. Fats are amazing if they're the right types. They give us heaps and heaps of energy that keep us going all afternoon, evening, 3 hours sleep, etc. And protein the same. They're essential for muscle repair, cell repair, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, also good to eat, heaps of energy. But just looking more so at the carbohydrate intake, and I've just got one other sort of picture. I know it's very high tech presentation, but yeah, it's just breaking down the carbohydrates into 2 categories, being simple and complex. So simple are your sugars, your fast acting stuff like fruits and obviously, yes, jelly beans and Powerades and cordial and all this sort of stuff. So if you're thinking, that probably explains why the kids go bonkers when they have cordial, is because it hits their system straight away and gives them a real good sugar kick. That's amazing if you're a diabetic, or if you're about to go and do something that's high intensity exercise and you feel that you need a bit of a kick of energy. The complex stuff is just slower burn, the grains and stuff that's in veggies and obviously some fruits as well, but primarily fruit sugars are going to be your simple stuff. And then obviously, as I said, fats and protein. So it's not about good or bad, it's just what times are probably more ideal. So as I said, this is not a science lesson, but I just wanted to break that down. And I'll try and step you through this, again, really high-tech presentation, but primarily looking down here. So right in the center of that timeline, so that's tried to depict a timeline in terms of how long you've got your race. Now, our races don't go for that long. Even if you're racing 2,000 meters or you don't have a great race, they're still not going to go for that long. It's not a marathon, so we don't need to be too crazy with our diet. But what I'm looking at is the race, and so on that previous sort of slide, so to speak, which spoke about simple carbohydrates being your sugars. So in your race, really, that's only going to be water and maybe a little bit of sugar in your drink. Okay. Again, you probably don't need to bring any food on board. You're not going to, get to the end and have no energy. That might be fitness, maybe out of breath, but definitely not lack of fuel, providing you've eaten okay, at least in the lead up. In the 2 hours before your start of your race, again, keep it to simple type carbohydrates. So that could be, a white bread sandwich with honey, or some watermelon, or some fruit, things like that are got a bit of sugar in them, but no real fats and proteins. Easy to digest into your system. And then even before that, so on your way to the course or something like that, you can have a little bit of complex carbohydrates. So maybe a bit more grain, bread, or some, I don't know, an egg in your sandwich or something like that, depending on what you like for breakfast. I guess the regatta is pretty early, so that might sort of rule out some sorts of breakfasts just because it's pretty early in the morning. A little bit of protein, tiny little bit of fat, but yeah, try and keep it to sort of carbohydrates. I'm talking in the sort of 3-4 hours, but again, we're probably commuting to the course. Post-race, it's a bit strange for us. If you've got multiple races, this is the challenge for us as rowers, or any events where you've got multiple events, is being able to put in the fuel that you need. You always find that on multi-event days where you've got multiple races, feel like you're just eating sugar all day to prop up your energy, and all you crave is something a bit savoury on your way home. So don't be surprised if that's the case. try to avoid, if you've got a big gap in the middle of the day, absolutely have a chicken salad, have a chicken sandwich, ham, whatever. Make it good, nutritious food, not junk food, but you can afford to do that if you've got a big gap in there. If you're racing like multiple races and it's like, an hour in between, that's the real challenge, to try and fit in some fuel for your body throughout the day. And then your recovery foods, just go back to your normal everyday stuff, which is complex carbohydrates, some good proteins and some good fats, and that'll fuel you. If I zoom out just a tiny bit, the night before, again, we're not rowing a marathon. It's not 90 kilometers or anything crazy like that. So just a good meal with, some decent carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates in it that are going to be slow lasting, some good protein, some good fats, without having to eat 3-4 kilos of pasta. We don't need that. Just eat normally, have a good nutritious meal. As I said, the breakfast on the way to the course, try to keep things as normal as possible, because that's what your body will like. If you normally have a big breakfast every morning, then maybe don't do that on the way to the course, but pick something that's going to be, sit in your stomach okay and is not going to repeat on you. We've sort of touched on pre-race and post-race, so simple carbohydrates beforehand, like no fats. What that's going to do is slow down your metabolism. So it's actually going to spend all of its time trying to break down the fats and the proteins that you've put in, because it sees those as a higher priority, even though carbohydrates are the desired source. Coffee or caffeine, each to their own. If you're someone that's a bit highly strung, or you think you're a bit nervous, I can get like that when I race, so I feel having additional stimulants are just the worst thing possible. I sit at the start line absolutely peaking, so I try to avoid a bit of coffee before my races, unless it's like hours before. But again, each to their own. If you feel that coffee doesn't really affect your nervous system at all, then just do what is normal and have your coffee. Maybe don't have heaps of them throughout the day. That's not the ticket to fast racing. And then the last point is about water. So throughout the day, just keep sipping. Bring a couple of bottles, freeze one, bring a cooler bag. I don't know how hot it's going to be, but that'd be what I'd be doing, is a little esky or cooler bag, keep things cool, but have plenty of water. You're better off having lots and taking it home than getting halfway through and feeling that you don't have it. Pre-water loading, I'd be sort of starting now, so just a little bit more than normal. If you're not a great water drinker, start getting in a good couple of litres, definitely today, and even 3 or 4 litres tomorrow. So sort of fill yourself with a bit of water if you feel that that is more than what you need. And then post, if you're getting really high tech, you need to put in, say if you lose a kilo of water weight in the day, which is very likely, then you need to put in 1.5 litres. So if you lose more than that, just for health reasons, you need to put in an additional 1.5 times what you lose in terms of your body weight. So hopefully that's helpful. I know I tried to be as quick as possible, but also explain things. But to wrap it up, keep it to sugars, in that initial sort of race period and a couple of hours before, definitely 1 hour before. Keep it sugars. That's what your body needs. You don't want to put stuff in that's going to slow you down or repeat on you. And then if you've got big gaps in between your races, then by all means, put in some really good nutritious food without it being, heavy and stodgy. So probably not a big bowl of pasta or anything like that. I always go with, something like a chicken salad, chicken sandwich, something like that. So easy to break down, easy to stomach. Hopefully that's beneficial. Again, for those who are watching, if you're thinking, what the hell is he on about? This is like school. Why am I learning, listening to this? If you've lasted 9.5 minutes, I would have zoned out a long time ago and turned it off. But anyway, for those who might need it, then hopefully this was helpful in some way.